Hi, welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. My name is Leo Connors and I'm your host. And tonight I got two special guests, Scott King and Adam Booker.
Hi,
guys,
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys.
Very much.
Thank you guys for coming on.
My pleasure.
Like I said off here, we got a lot of stuff. We're gonna forget about the get to know you interview and get right into it. This is from Mav. Ask Scott about renting the Doink suit from Phil Apollo.
Wow. Geez. I only remember doing the Doink thing once or twice, and I don't even remember renting it. So, like a lot of my stories, sometimes the noggin doesn't work perfectly. Scott might remember that better than I do. I did Doink a couple times, and I guess Phil owned the suit.
Right.
But Phil would charge you money for just about anything, so that's pretty accurate.
I remember Doink was dragged out for the Dartmouth string of shows that we were just talking about earlier for the EWA.
Not
Is
me.
this something different?
Not me.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't
no,
do
it wasn't you under it. No, I didn't know if that was related.
No, I don't
That
think
might
so.
jog
There's a
that
bunch of guys that
memory.
have been. Some guy, John Maloof, I think, still does it now from up in Manchester. I don't know if you know John, but
So you actually did it?
I did it a couple times.
okay.
Yeah. I fit the
I thought
profile.
you meant like you booked them.
You know, I was about 5'9" with boots,
Yeah.
5'11". I have a gut,
Yeah.
so that was the Doink thing. But I only did it a couple
Did you
times.
do
so
the whoopee cushion?
I don't remember. I know I threw the bucket of confetti, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, and then the water one, but I don't really remember. I wrestled Doink more than I was Doink.
really.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. If you have anything input on this, just put it on the post, please. All right. Ask Adam if he remembers when he got stuck in the ring with me after Ivar. Obviously, well, he's Handsome Johnny to you guys,
Yeah.
I'm sure, right? Broke my nose on Jeff Costa's vinyl canvas. Ring got covered with my blood and mucus that everyone slipped around in. He thinks it was a three-corner tag team match, Minnie and Mav versus Doc and someone and Adam and someone. Do you remember who your partner was?
Who is that asking?
That's Mav.
That's
So
Mav.
it was Mav and Minnie versus Doc and someone and Adam and someone. But if he says that Ivar was in the match, so obviously Handsome Johnny had to either be Doc's partner or your partner because he says he's in the match.
I do remember the match because I know it's online, so I've watched it since.
I gotta check that out then.
I believe at least this is the one
Yeah,
we're talking
yeah.
about because I know it's Handsome Johnny and someone who are in the lower right hand corner. I think Mav and his partner's in the upper right, and I'm in the upper left hand. But I can't remember who I'm tagged with. I can remember because I know I used a clip of me doing the flying headbutt from that match in something that I edited together once, so I remember that. Shit, I can't remember who my partner was.
All right, we'll figure it out,
so
man.
that
I'll look it up online later.
That would
Hopefully,
be
I'll find it.
AWA, I believe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He said it was for
that
Jeff
would've still been
in his
AWA.
tiny little ring.
Yeah,
that
and it was
babies
in
could crawl into.
It was in a gym
Never
for
listened
a school. I forget, high school, middle school, whatever
Yeah.
it was. Who would have been my partner in AWA? That would have been, man. I can't think of who it would have been even.
All right, because so many guys came in and out of it. They wrestle 1 week, you wouldn't see him again for 6 more shows.
We are 0 for 2 in answering questions well. You
That's
know
all right.
that.
We have plenty.
My answer was awful and yours was even worse.
Let's dive right
So,
into
yes.
All right, yeah.
And then we fucking
All right.
tank.
Yeah. Well, you told me you have a story for this one, Scott.
Oh, okay, all right.
From Brickhouse Baker. Ask
boy.
Scott about the slap he gave me to start off a match. That must have been a good one.
All right, so Mike and I had known each other for quite a bit, and we both, at that time, were primarily heels.
Right.
So we really didn't work against each other very often. So we got booked for Top Rope, and I had developed an abscess in a tooth in my mouth. And it was killing me. I was miserable.
Right.
But, Ambisol, everything. So I go to the building only to find out I'm working Mike. And Mike was stiff.
Yeah.
And I was known to work a little snug.
Right.
So I went up to Mike in the back and I'm like, listen, I got this bad abscess tooth right over here. Can you just be careful for it tonight?
Yeah.
No problem. So Baker said, no problem. So we started the match. We kind of both being heels, we kind of faced off in the middle, talking, right? Push spot. And so the spot was I was going to slap him and he was going to slap me back. So I reared back, and when I slapped him, I slapped him. Oh my. like a big
Right.
palm of the hand. Just got him good. And as soon as I hit him, I knew. I was, oh no. And he potatoed me right on the abscess, and we end up having a crowbar match. We would just beat the hell out of each other. Because I hit him hard, and
Yeah.
he receded me pretty good. And then it was good because we laughed about it after, but it did not help my abscess. But yeah, I started that. I hit him way too hard. So
That's awesome. All right, Chris Venom. Ask Adam what it was like working with such a tremendous talent when I was in the ring with them. Parentheses, it was not me, obviously. It was Chris Santone.
oh, the referee Santone. Who doesn't like Chris Santone?
I saw this question online, so I thought you still was at least asking how it was working with him. I can't. I mean, because he really.
Well, you
means
gotta
Chris
answer
Santone.
that.
I mean, Chris
No, he
Santone
doesn't really mean
was pretty
Santone.
solid as a ref.
I like Santone.
Was he? Yeah.
I
He
liked
was a
him
good
in the
ref.
ring.
But
Yeah.
I think it's more like talking about Chris.
Yeah, I would.
Chris Venom.
Yeah.
I'd rather talk about Santone.
Here we go. The roasting has begun. Start with Sean.
No way.
I can't roast Sean.
Roast Santone with compliments. Love
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
So no,
No, Venom. Yeah, I liked working with Venom a lot. It was all I think all of it in the EWA, if I remember right. I don't think we ever worked like NCW or anything like
Okay.
that. Yeah, I don't think, but that was decades ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Not quite pluralized decades, but pretty close. Yeah, we always had fun. I always liked working with him. It was back when both he and I were a bit clueless. And doing more things than necessary, I'm sure. So I remember us putting together some stringy matches, but it was always fun. And he definitely gave me the stiffest Hardy style senton
Well,
that I've ever felt.
He
in my
was
entire
fat
life.
back then. He was chubby.
He was thicker than
Yeah, he was chubby. He's in great
unlike
shape now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice to see him back too. Coming, you know.
Yeah, he was
It really
very
is.
talented.
He's very good.
Yeah,
Very, very
from what I
talented guy.
understand, that's gone really well too.
Yeah.
But it was back in the EWA ring before you guys went to the beams, the beam ring, the one that was like concrete.
Yeah, we had a
and
stiff ring.
yeah, he gave me a senton. It was at the show, I think in Lewiston, Maine, and destroyed me. 'Cause the ring had no give whatsoever, and he just landed right on me. But yeah, he's great. I love
Nice.
Venom.
All right. And Chris wants to know, ask Scott if he regrets letting him on shows for the EWA. When he answers yes, ask him, how did that run last 3 years?
I don't regret it at all.
Right.
Sean was a really good worker. Even back then, when he thinks they were clueless, Sean was he's just good. Some
Right.
people just have that intangible quality. Like I said, he was chubby.
Yeah, I
at
remember
the time.
back then.
But he was a very, very good worker. He kind of did some hardcore stuff with Nate, with Dr. Payne.
Yeah, that's right.
But he wasn't really a hardcore guy, so it was
right.
like the anti-hardcore
Yep.
gimmick.
I worked with him at again. I don't know why I'm going to keep on trying to bring up Dartmouth that we talked about earlier, but
Yeah.
at the Dartmouth bot shows, I worked with him, and it was like a hardcore match. I
Yeah.
don't think it was when I had been doing any hardcore stuff. Like
No, he probably
with
had the
Frankie and I.
hardcore championship, maybe.
Yeah, so it must have been because he did.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was very good. I don't regret it one bit. He's
Nice.
fantastic worker. A nice guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
For Adam, what was it like working with the extremely light Jimmy Valiant? Now, I don't know if that really means that Jimmy was light working or was he stiff. What was it like working with Jimmy Valiant?
who asked
Who's
us?
one of my favorite wrestlers, honestly. I
Yeah.
love the Boogie Woogie Man.
Who asked this question?
I didn't write that part
Oh,
down.
I'm
That's
so
all right. That's all right.
I'm so
So
curious
whoever asked
because
questions, I'm sorry, I didn't write your names down this time.
I'm just curious because not many people would know that
Right.
that I had any association with him. I don't have much, so that's part of why. But yeah, so I trained out in Illinois when I graduated high school. I was still 17 years old because the way my birthday lands in August. And I moved out to Illinois to train with a company called Powerhouse Championship Wrestling, PCW. It was owned by this idiot, I guess. I'm trying to come up with like a friendly word.
Right,
for
right.
it. It's owned by this idiot.
It's gonna go downhill. This is gonna go downhill.
And his name, fucking Tim Lyle.
That's two.
okay.
That's two.
Hey, you're the one who's trying not to swear.
I didn't say one yet.
not yet.
I'm clean.
I'm gonna get you to though. I'm trying to
Yeah,
model.
I know you're gonna do.
model
You
the
put it in
behavior.
my head.
So, yeah, guy named Tim Lyle, and I don't think he trained with Jimmy, but it was his cousin Brian who did all the like actual physical in-ring training
Okay.
for like the students, and he was the one who actually had a clue and like was a real good wrestler in the ring. I honestly don't know. I knew enough at the time to truly judge if he had like a great mind for it, but he was a really good physical wrestler. So he was really good to work with training wise, and he had trained with Jimmy Valiant.
Okay.
So he was a Valiant student. I think I don't remember the other guys if he had trained with Valiant or if Brian trained him or I don't know. But so I met Valiant once at a show, and my first match ever, I tagged with Valiant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's a good debut.
against my trainer Brian, and
That's awesome.
it must have been the other guy. They were a Russian tag team.
Okay.
And I came in the other. I think it must have been him. Oh, I can't remember my own first match now.
So was he
I
super
remember the part that
light?
matters. I tagged with Valiant.
Exactly.
Was he super light?
So yeah, he is super light, but I mean I was his partner, so
Right.
I wasn't working with him, so I didn't get to really feel it on that other end. But yeah, every contact I had with him was that sort of super light, old school style.
Nice. Like I said, I'm a huge Jimmy Valiant fan. All right, for Scott, how did you get started in the business?
Right out of high school, actually. One of my best friend in high school, Walter Rougeau, and I just went right into school, and we went as a tag team. I went with my Sky King name. It was kind of my nickname growing
Right.
up, so it was easy. And one day, randomly in a locker room, somebody called him Garf, Garf. So it stuck. He became Garf Garrison, and we were the hit squad. And
That was Garf? I didn't
Yeah,
know
it was
that.
Garf. See, and I brought it. He wrestled only for like 3 years.
Okay.
And then he stopped. And then when I did the EWA, I brought him in.
Right.
And he hadn't wrestled in like 10 years. And we had him tag. He tagged with Flash, I think, Nick McKenna.
Yes.
Yeah,
Is
because
that
you
right,
worked
with
against
Flash?
him? Yeah.
No, I don't think I did, but yeah, sorry. We laughed a bit. at
I
Garf.
know. I remember. I remember. He was an older guy at that point and hadn't really worked for like 10
And
years.
we
so.
were just these really smart young guys.
Oh,
that
yeah.
knew fucking everything.
No, that's straight. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
He's
fuck
so
it, I'll get
tired.
involved too.
I'm staying clean. I'm going
Trying to help,
full.
trying to make Adam not feel so bad.
I'm the baby here. That's what for the first time ever.
All right. So for Adam, can you tell the story of when you moved back to Maine, showed up at an EWA show to work the Young Genius Kid Crazy under a hood? There's once, I meant you do once, Jared.
Okay.
Mark it up.
Yeah, back it up. Yeah, so,
The young genius.
so what was it like working with Crazy?
So clearly that question's from him, huh?
Yes.
That's his phrase.
That was easy, yeah.
We kind of talked about this earlier.
did talk about
actually.
this at lunch,
because
yeah.
that was the night I first met Scott as well.
Yep.
And a lot of people that would be kind of my like crew for the next
Right.
5-6 years, really.
That was the first time you met them all, pretty much?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I said, I'd moved out to Illinois and trained out there. I trained for I think around a few months or so before I started doing some shows, and then worked for about a year in that area, and then wanted to move back because the more I was in wrestling, the more I started realizing like I actually left where like all the wrestling was.
Right,
It was
yeah.
just still, it was in, not that there wasn't wrestling around
Right.
the Midwest area, there was, but given that it was my home and that there was plenty there, I wanted to go back to it. And yeah, it was just in that time period where like, Kowalski's school was like hours away from where I lived, but
Right.
how the hell would you know it exists? Because that stuff
Right.
wasn't just out there
Yeah,
as
that-
common knowledge.
It was
So I
pretty much
literally-
the only school back then, too, right?
yeah,
pretty
yeah,
much.
I think so, at least
Yeah.
as far as
I'm
I
sure
know.
there was
most
a couple
accredited
places.
school.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that was the
people
most
knew
accredited
about.
school.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
but at the time, I had no clue it existed. That
Right.
stuff's not popping up in WWE magazine or something. I don't think it did.
No Google
I
searches
didn't
back
really
then.
read much
Right.
WWE magazine, but yeah. So I actually moved halfway across the country to that was the closest school I knew of. But anyways, I digress. When I wanted to move back home, I heard about the EWA from the freaking MTV documentary.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah, we look good on that.
I
Yeah,
remember that documentary.
Yeah.
It seemed very professional, and
we didn't own it yet, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still, James St. Jean owned it at the. I worked on that show,
Yeah,
where the MTV
yeah.
special
Yeah.
was.
yeah. So I heard about EWA from that. Found them online, a shitty old.
Website.
Yeah, year 2000 style website.
Yep.
Somehow I think there's an address on there, and so I wanted to say email. I mailed a tape of the 2 or 3 of the I don't know 15 matches.
I never
had
watched
or
that
some-
tape, by the
some
way.
shit
Never
like
watched that
I
tape.
think it went
You just hide
to.
I liked him right away,
to
Right.
Shay, I think.
Oh
is-
God! Yeah, you don't know what happened with that.
Yeah,
tape then.
yeah.
Who's that? Oh yeah, we're bringing him up later. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll get to.
We're gonna get to
Yeah. But I
Excuse
met
me,
him
but,
that first night.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I knew I was going to be moving back. I sent that tape. Found out when the next show was, and they, I don't know, so who the fuck responded to me? I have no
That's
clue.
4.
4. Yeah.
Someone said to show up. So I did, and it was odd because I was young as could be. Had only wrestled at like 3 companies before, maybe 2 actually. And so even though it was where I grew up, I knew no one in the company. It was weird. I definitely gonna say. But it was cool. I mean, everyone was nice. So that's like I said when I met Kid Crazy the first time, met Frankie the first time, you for the first time, Ramsey for the first time. I must have met Nate for the first time that night. Everyone that would be kind of my crew for the next 5 years. And I worked with Jared. Another reason why he brings it up, because he was the first person I worked with when I came back to this area. And he at least tells the story like he has a much more vivid, accurate memory of the match. I remember it was good. I remember we went at it pretty hard, and I just realized I remembered it was good.
No, it was.
It felt
it
good
wa-
to me at the time.
You were good right away, and
Yeah.
that's why Ramsey and I both liked you instantly, and we didn't realize you were as green as you were.
Yeah,
Because it didn't
yeah.
come across in the ring.
I pulled it off.
So yeah, well, you and Jared, I mean, that's
he
a
was
good
helpful.
amount of talent.
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I
know?
was gonna say, he was
certainly
really
he was
helpful in pulling it
fantastic.
off.
Really
He was
could work.
fantastic. Absolutely.
No doubt.
Yeah, that was fun though. Yeah.
All right. For Scott, do you remember the enjoyment the locker room got when you chopped King Kong Bundy?
Yeah.
This ought to be good.
Oh, this was so bad, actually. So we had a show, and I was booked with Bundy. I guess I booked myself with Bundy, and Bundy, nicest guy in the world,
Yeah.
such a pleasant guy. And so as soon as I get to the building, they all started on me. If you're going to chop Bundy, and I'm like, no, why? The guy's the size of a house.
Yeah.
Because I
so-
was.
So
Go ahead.
you were known as a chopper.
I threw a lot of
Just to throw
all
that out there.
Heavy, nasty chops.
Right.
That was.
Loud,
They all ate
like
him.
meaty chops.
Yeah, I would welt you up pretty good.
Which I would say inspired
Like Rick
me
Fuller?
It inspired you.
to do the same myself.
Like
So-
Rick?
Good. But yeah, me and Rick, we had a lot of matches together. We went back and forth. But so King Kong Bundy's hand is
Right.
this big. So I'm telling the guys no, and they've ribbed me all afternoon. What are you, a baby? See how I caught myself?
You
I caught
almost said it.
I
Good
almost said
edit.
a bad word. So they're like, what are you? You're a baby. chop him. You chop everybody. You chop the whole locker room. Why are you not going to chop him? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to chop him.
Right.
So we go out there in the match, and Bundy was the baby, and I was the heel. And we had a spot, and I got him in the corner, and I didn't even think about it. I reared back, and I lit him up.
Right.
It was a chest like this.
Oh, yeah, he's a
So
big dude.
pow. And as soon as I threw it, I looked up, and he did this. He looked down at me, and I was like, oh. And he grabbed me, and he spun me, and he took his hand, and he chopped my whole torso. I swear to you, chopped my whole torso. And the whole locker room lost it, and they were lit. And after Bundy chopped me, he went, he just snickered at me, and then we continued the match. But yeah, the locker room, I lit him up, but it wasn't on purpose. It was not on purpose.
You forgot.
No, they got in my head, like he's trying to do right now. They got in my head. Yeah.
All right. For Adam, how fantastic were the old days on Edward Street during the heyday of Portland wrestling?
With no specifics, just how fantastic was
Yeah,
it?
how fantastic was it?
That's definitely Jared again.
There was a lot of partying that went on, I think, at that time, right?
Yeah, I mean nothing like crazy, but
Yeah.
But we had lots of people stay at our place. So it was me and Frankie Armadillo. And was there anyone else in wrestling there at that time?
Oh, Hasty, no?
Hasty didn't live there. He was there, so he lived
No.
locally.
Oh, Adam
though.
Hasty?
I was just trying to think who actually lived there. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Frankie Armadillo and I and some other roommates that weren't in wrestling that rented a house there, and it was less than a 5-minute drive from the Stevens Avenue Armory where the shows were monthly with the EWA. So we had a lot of guys. Either full-blown crash there, if not at least like come after the show and like
Right.
watch tapes of the prior shows and stuff like that. This is back when it was like VHS, so like
Yeah.
there's, if you were watching the latest tape you got of the shows, it was like 2-3 months old. The show from
I went
2-3
there
months ago.
10 times to watch tapes. So I was like
I have
every
like
show.
200 VHS tapes at home. Seriously, it's like ridiculous how many I have.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I used to have an absurd amount too, but I eventually cut down to a box of like
Yeah.
just ones that I'm on, just so that I can sit in my attic.
I
for
started
the
to
next 50
convert
years of my
some.
life.
I
Yeah.
started to convert some to
Yeah.
digital, and it's really not that difficult. It's just
Right.
time
Yeah.
consuming.
Yeah.
My girlfriend bought me one thing. It's still in the box.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
she bought it like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Oh, yeah.
it's ridiculous.
But it was pretty awesome because, like Scott said, actually, I don't remember if you said this here or back at the restaurant. But we had such an awesome crew. I think this was back at the restaurant of talent there working at that place that we had some pretty awesome. I guess.
Creative input, probably,
Yeah,
right?
'cause,
Watching the matches.
the people that would stay over weren't always purely just like our closest friends. So
Right.
there would be some odd people there sometimes. So we've sat there and watched tapes with some people that have gone places since then.
Yeah, and I think that probably helped you guys get better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Oh,
you have so
Right.
many sets of eyes
And critiquing
looking at
each other,
critiquing
and
each
stuff,
other
yeah,
and
busting each other's
constructive
balls.
criticism.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a lot
Oh,
of
I'm
that.
sure
yeah.
of that.
Always ripping each other apart.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. For Scott, was he proud of the inspiration he became to us young guys and how important his approval was to us? And I'm sorry that I don't know who asked that question, but.
Wow, that one, you actually gave me goosebumps. You got to get me choked up now. I'm an older guy, so I'm emotional. It means everything.
Yeah.
It means everything. I talked to him about that, and
Right.
like I mentioned to you, I had breakfast with Dr. Heresy.
Yeah, who brought us
this
some
morning, who
wonderful
Oh, yeah.
donuts.
box of Chimura's donuts from Springfield.
Thanks, Doc.
And Jeremy was telling me the same thing. And when I was driving up here, I was telling my fiance Misty on the phone that it's so humbling to hear things like that.
Right.
And have Jeremy, he was telling me what a big influence I was to him. And
Nice.
I can speak for Steve Ramsey
Right.
on this topic for sure. We didn't view it that way. We view it the opposite way. We view it like they did this for us.
Right.
They, like he stated, we just talked about it at lunch. Steve and I had such a talented roster. we had so many just incredibly talented indie
Right.
guys. Like so many went on to big things,
Yeah.
and it's like a coaching analogy. If you're coaching a team that's loaded with talent,
Right.
it's easier to coach
Yeah.
talented people. So for me, it was hands down my favorite part of my wrestling career and involvement. And every single one of these guys, they're family to me.
Right.
We really had a bond.
Nice.
I worked for a ton of promotions before we did the EWA. He's worked for a ton. Everybody says the same thing. It was just special.
Right.
It was a special group.
I shut my ringer off too. I don't know why it's ringing.
But yeah, so whoever put that,
Yeah.
it makes me feel incredibly satisfied that people actually view it that way. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll back it up too. I mean, I don't know if you guys. Well, I guess you kind of confirmed you guys didn't really see it this way at the time. But yeah, I mean, you did have like the father figure sort of status.
Yeah.
with a,
Yeah,
with a lot of
Jared
the
says
crew.
that to me a lot, and again, you guys were younger, at least in the business sense, and most of you age-wise.
really that much younger.
No, I know.
age-wise.
I'm
but it
10
was like
years
the
older than you, right. It's not-
experience-wise,
But
sort of.
all Steve and I, when we started the EWA, when we bought it from James St. Jean,
Right.
we wanted to run shows the way that we wish all of our indie shows that we worked on were run.
Right.
Because promoters is a bad word.
Yeah.
And some promoters don't have the best interests of the talent.
Right.
They're there to make money.
Yeah.
They're there to do, things that, it just don't fit. So when we did the EWA, it sounds like a tagline or something, but we really did it for them.
Right.
We didn't make a lot of money, but we were really happy
Right.
with and look at the results. We got people 15 years later still looking back on it. And, Harris used to tell us the best part of his career. And
That's awesome.
That makes me feel amazing. So that's why it was special. And I guarantee you Steve would say the same thing. Yeah.
I don't know quite well enough, but Anthony Green was an EWA fan. Have you heard his name or anything?
I've heard of
He's-
Anthony Green.
yeah,
I
he's
didn't
a-
know he was an EWA fan.
He's
yeah,
the
so-
hottest wrestler, I think, in the world right now.
he-
Honestly, he
yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
And he was from Portland?
Yeah,
or-
no, he's great and he's doing great.
Yes.
No, he's from
Randolph, I
down
think.
in Mass, so he went to
Yep.
some of the
Southbridge stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that stuff down. And I'm saying yes to Southbridge specifically. I don't know for sure
Some of that mass stuff. Well, we ran other
which
shows
ones he went
too.
to, but yeah, he told me that he was a fan. I think 12 years old or something like
Yeah.
that.
He used to
and,
go to
he
all
used
the
to go
shows
to
and tell
EWA
people he was
shows.
going to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
Then he became a ref.
Yeah.
He's killing it now.
Well, you know who
Yep.
else told me that they were a big EWA fan was, oh God, it's going to kill me that I can't think of his name. He's in Ring of Honor right now. Just got a break as a tag team, one of the bouncers.
Malonis. Brian
Brian,
Malonis.
Brian. Yeah.
He had told
Great
me he
guy.
was a big EWA fan.
Yeah, although I mean he was I think around that time already training as well too. But
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so he
Nice.
said that to me as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course, that has such an incredible
Right.
impact. Absolutely.
Yeah, Brian's killing it now, too.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely. I'm so happy
awesome
for
guy.
him.
Had his
He's another good
pay-per-view
guy.
debut over the weekend.
Yep.
So-
Good for him. I wish
Yeah.
him.
All right, for Adam, who are some of your favorite opponents?
I absolutely loved working with Frank Armadillo.
I knew you were going to say that. I could have called that one.
He would probably
was
be
good.
on a handful of people's lists, the people that worked with him that time.
Anybody that worked with him.
Because yeah, he was so great to work with. Just like just inventive enough, and solid and creative. Yeah. Anyway, but who else? I had a stretch of time where I worked with Walters a lot, which was a lot of fun.
Very good.
Yeah.
Really good.
I really liked working with him, and he and I we meshed real well. I'd say Fuller that time period because it was a good an awesome learning experience really just
Right.
to work with him, and it's not just like the classic like I'm just saying that because he's worked someplace with contracts before, and I hadn't at the time, But it was also like I had been, like you said, you didn't really know how new I was at the time when I started. So at that point, I had been working around a year or a year and a half on shows, and it was the first real experience with being in the main event, and
That's probably one of the more memorable EWA feuds.
yeah,
It was a very
Yeah.
we pushed. He was our heavyweight champion, and
Right.
I'd known Rick forever.
Yeah.
And Rick's a monster.
Huge.
You know, he's just a big, strong guy with a
Very
very
nice
physical
guy.
style,
Yeah.
as his back remembers, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And to book the big, unbeatable monster
Right.
against your top baby face, we ran it 6 months, right, at least.
Something like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
and for an indie feud, that's. You know, when you ran the same houses, so
And it drew.
it drew great, and the fans
just
ate
us,
it
but-
up, and the feud was fantastic. So
so he was an awesome opponent. I love working with Chase. He and I click in so many ways, and it's always fun. Who else? If I forget someone, it's just because it doesn't come to mind.
Right.
I mean, I loved it. So when I came, so yeah, I worked for about like 6 years, like pretty full time, and then took, I forget exactly now, like 3-4 years off or something
Okay.
like that. And then when I came back and worked for another about 4 years, in Chaotic, I worked with a lot of the young guys. So, and not in like long programs or anything.
Right.
So I can't, like name like it because we had this lengthy program or anything, but I really enjoyed the stretch of time where I worked with like Christian Casanova,
Right.
Anthony Green,
And they were very new at the time,
yeah,
right?
yeah, Flip Gordon, all these guys
Yeah.
were within the first, I believe, like half year of
Right.
their wrestling career. Or like even Flip in particular was like,
Yeah, actually,
I
he's
believe
being-
his,
I was
his
gonna bring up
second-
Flip in a bit.
His second live match.
Yeah. Oh, really? His second match?
Yeah, it was the first time I worked with him, and then we worked a couple more times after that. So that was, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it was just cool to get to come back and get the chance to kind of be the older guy and
Right.
and work with those guys when they were so new, and then after that to watch them learn and grow so much and watch all of them now where they're at, and
Right.
and it's more than just those guys I named too. There's just some other guys too that I'm forgetting, but that was pretty awesome.
Well, it's funny, like, we brought up, how you, with Anthony, you know,
Yeah.
but like Christian is really hot right now,
Oh, yeah.
too. I mean, honestly, with the Killanova gimmick,
Yeah.
that, no pun intended, but they're killing it everywhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They all just were out in New York and was over with the fans like crazy.
Yeah.
Just this past weekend, so. All right, Scott. What?
you
What
laughed before
put the
asking.
soft spot you and Steve Ramsey's heart to allow Larry Huntley on his show? So there was other words put in there, but I chose not to because I like Larry a lot.
Well, we talked about Larry at lunch. Ironically, I like Larry.
Me too.
He likes Larry.
Right.
There's a group that seemed to not get along with Larry.
Right.
So I'll give you one Larry story. Now Larry was what he was. He kind of reminded me of like a Maine hillbilly hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah.
He
pretty
he
much
did
right
a
on
lot
the
of
head.
hardcore stuff. He wasn't the most refined guy, but he was over.
Yeah.
He had great baby heat on our shows. But Kevin Mailot, which I don't know, I got too choked up, but Kevin passed away.
Okay.
The Dancing Devil, Damian Houston, Brian's younger brother, and he was one of our main roster guys. I can't hear his entrance song on the radio without thinking of him all the time.
Yeah.
And Kevin was a wild child type of a person, and Larry Huntley stormed in my office one day at the Armory, furious, and we had that cheesy EWA website,
Yeah.
and the message board, Kevin had put a video
Boards.
of a man pooping on a plate. Showed him actually pooping on a plate, and then the caption for the video was Larry Huntley's greatest match. So Larry Huntley was steaming.
Yeah.
He came in so mad, and I calmed Larry down, and I'm like, Larry,
Right.
I'll talk to Kevin when he gets here. And Kevin got there, and I pulled Kevin aside. We laughed about it, honestly, if
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. But, I took, we took it down.
Right.
But I like Larry. I think Larry's a good guy.
Yeah, me too.
But he has stuff with, so whoever put that was trying to draw something out of me that I don't know that's going to come out.
All right. All right. So now for both of you guys, this is from Kid Crazy. He says, love my dudes, Scott and Adam. Wrestling certainly would not have been nearly as great if it wasn't for you guys. I figured I'd just bring that
Thank
out
you,
there.
Jared.
Plus, he called me
thank
a
you.
prick if I didn't bring his name up. So that's
was-
twice, Jared.
He was great for us.
He was really good. in the
He was
ring.
great. Well, one of the things that we did, and when he first came along, I didn't want anything to do with him because he was young.
He was so young.
Yeah.
And he looked like he was 12 years old.
Right.
So I'm like, first of all, he could work.
Yeah.
But I'm like, this kid looks 12.
Right.
We're going to put him out there. Who is we going to have him beat?
Right.
Because
Was he as brash when he first came
oh,
in
yeah.
as he is now?
Oh, God, yeah. Right from day one.
Always
Right.
a prick.
Yes, always. And but I mean, we ran an angle with Jared where I had the evil commissioner type of
Yeah.
gimmick, and he crossed me at one point, so I made him wrestle tag teams by himself. It's kind of the storyline, and I actually put the tag titles on him without a partner.
Right.
So that's a hard story to tell.
yeah.
You're working against tag teams. He's got to take all the heat.
Yep.
That's not an easy storyline,
Yeah.
and he pulled it off because
Nice.
all the things I would say about Jared, that between his ears, he knows wrestling.
Right.
He understands and he gets it.
Yeah.
And that's a quality that somebody doesn't have. They're never going to get.
Some of those handicap tag matches were actually pretty stunning.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Constant pace of them, and,
Yes.
and without falling apart.
That's
to shit,
really hard to
meaning
do.
Something. And,
Yeah.
and, yeah.
That was another storyline that really worked for us. And if I didn't have Jared to work that part,
Right.
it would not have worked as well.
Wow.
So, yeah, no, it's hard to, it's the truth.
I just watched the match on YouTube between him and Mav. I don't know if it was for Jeff or if it was for Mav, because I know Mav used Jeff's
Yep,
ring.
yep.
And that's what I remember, the ring. But what a match the two of them had. It couldn't have been that long ago either.
I mean, Mav, one of the most talented
Unbelievable.
guys I've ever
Yeah,
worked with, too.
absolutely. Great guy. All right, so you just brought up Chase a few minutes ago. So
Yes.
this is from Chase. He says, definitely ask Adam about our series of matches that culminated in a ladder match in Lowell that's still often discussed, which it is by my buddy Dan. Loves his favorite
Yeah.
match ever from Chaotic.
Nice.
Leading up to it, though, he said you guys had a botched finish in a tag team match, a belt shot that split them open, amongst other things.
I do remember that.
Potato.
Do you remember that?
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still
I'm surprised he does.
the the botch finish for the tag match. I'm trying to remember on that one. And I don't know. Maybe it'll come to me while I talk about it. Hopefully. But yeah, I popped up back in Chaotic, which was a bit of a chance thing, and at the time it was Tarzan booking it, I believe. I think I got that right, and he knew, I think, of me, but didn't really know me that much.
Right.
And Jamie, the owner at the time,
Yeah,
had
Jay
had
Mikowski.
me come back in. So I think it was just kind of like, I have this thing, I don't really know what to do with it. So I had matches with some random people, and that was all fine. I certainly had no issue with it, but I think Chase saw that and had a little bit of pull there with having been there for so long, and pushed for he and I to work together, and because we've been friends for a long time.
Right.
And we had a series of matches that were a blast, and post like the EWA chaotic time period of my career is definitely my favorite chunk of time, I guess I
Right.
would say. But yeah, think about what he brought up specifically. The belt shot, I remember clear as day. The tag reference has not come back to me yet, but he was the chaotic New England champion at the time. Through I forget if it's all of this. I think through all of this. I think. Let me see. We had worked it, so we did my career versus his title. Yeah. My career was on the line.
Wow.
When you never actually plan to like have that the match go that way, it doesn't stick in your mind as a moment that matters. But yeah, technically my career was on the line. Let me think. He first, before we get to the belt shot, super kicked the Chaotic title through my teeth, down my throat. It was great. It was it had gotten in the ring somehow, and I picked it up and just like dummy turned right into it and just boom.
And he does a good super kick, though. He's still doing it
Yes,
today.
he does. He does.
That explains the belt shot.
Yeah.
There's a receipt.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't anything like that in particular, but he and I both, laid in pretty good. So, the spot played out that I ended up giving him a belt shot after. And I think it was because it went over his head and kind of either folded or grazed, but it gave him a gash. He had to end up getting staples for it to close up. And then so I went over in that match and got the New England championship. And then after that, the next month, he and I had a ladder match for the Chaotic New England Championship, the one that you referred to.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, I could probably easily label it one of my favorite matches of my entire career.
I think you were good in ladder matches because
Yeah.
you had the one with us that was with Matt and Jeremy. It was a three-way ladder, right?
Jeremy got involved, but it was Matt
you
and
and
I over for the Hardcore Championship
Yeah.
when those were a thing, for the EWA Hardcore Championship, and we actually like main evented.
Yeah, that was a really
the
good ladder
show
match,
for that ladder match, and so I definitely have gotten lucky opponents wise, because one that was with Frankie Armadillo, the second one in Chaotic was with Chase, and they're both phenomenal to work with. But you're all right. I had really talked about ladder match in EWA and then in Chaotic as well. But yeah, so ladder matches are just fun in the first place.
Right.
But then, like I said, Chase and I, click, and we had a blast and took our time out there, and it was pretty long, and ended the match on a fun spot since neither of us died. I can look back on it and call it fun. We set up one of the ladders like a bridge between a ladder and the turnbuckles.
Yep.
And got up on it, and he gave me his cradle to the grave pile driver on the ladder, which looked phenomenal. Like I said, none of us died, and went over huge. So that was a blast. Anyway,
Nice.
I'm kind of rambling.
All right, so I got a few more questions, but we're going to skip because we're playing the name game because you liked it.
Oh, I
So
love the
got
name game. I
One
love the
last
question.
question. We'll make it kind of quick if you
that's
could.
fine.
From Mal. Because we did live TV on the same level, but I never had this experience. And I want to know this too. What was it like working with Owen Hart?
Owen was fantastic. I mean, he was one of the best workers with the company at the time.
absolutely.
I got very lucky because that was my first time ever wrestling it was
wow.
WWF back then.
Right.
And I had gone up on the road trip with Scott Garland, Scotty Tuhati, and Phil Apollo.
Oh, wow.
And the whole ride up, it was my first day ever in the World Wrestling Federation and, a TV taping. So the whole ride up, they got me all amped up. They're like, listen, you want to do it? All zip, zip, zip. And we walked in the door. We got in the locker room. And as soon as we walked in the locker room, Scott and Phil like, okay, take it easy. And they left me all by myself. I was 21 years old, backstage. So, they ribbed me a little.
Yeah.
And then, when I met Owen for the first time, he's very pleasant. He was my size.
Right.
Actually, I was a little bigger than him.
Yeah.
So I was all excited, and I went out there. Funny Owen Hart stuff. It was back then. Monday Night Raw used to be live every 3 weeks.
Right.
So they did. They taped an hour.
Yep.
Did a live hour. Taped an hour. So of course, my first day there, I'm on a live hour. So I'm like, oh, there's more nerves. So I'm in the gorilla position behind the curtain, and they went to commercial. So they sent me to the ring, and I walked out the door. And I started walking down the ramp, and the fans turned around, and they're like, who the hell are you? And this one fan yelled, roadkill. And I'm like, oh, so, you know, I'm a little nervous. I get to the ring, and Jack Doan was the referee. And I walk over to him, and he goes, Scott, how you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm a little nervous. He goes, yeah, you look nervous. And we're live. And walked away because we came back from commercial. So when the match started, we locked up, and Owen was like, relax. I was very tense. You know, he rang my arm, and he gave me a chop. As soon as he hit me, I was fine.
Nice.
So for a job match, I think it was like, I don't know if it was like 6 minutes long or
Right.
whatever. But you're working with somebody that is all over the place.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's just so talented.
Right.
And it's so funny because he gave me a European uppercut, and I didn't know it was coming. And it caught me on the chin, and I saw stars, you know, and I sold it, you know, and I kind of hit the rope, and I came back and he gave me a second one, and I bumped on the second one. I was getting out of there. And then near the end, he did a drop kick off the top, and, you know, he had just come off knee surgery at the time. He was out for a few months, and he said, you know, don't get too close to the corner. I want to be able to extend. So I was too far away.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I wanted to give him the thing. And in most situations, you're taking a drop kick off the top. A lot of guys are going to put a hand up, right?
Right.
To try to brace it. Or I was on Monday Night Raw.
Right, exactly.
20, so
Yeah.
he came, I just put my face out, and he kicked my face off. He dislocated my jaw, actually. And then he did his finish, which was the Northern Lights. And he was a pleasant guy. You know, I have kids, and, you know, he was a family guy. You know, he was just about as nice as possible and incredibly talented. So I got lucky. You know, Scott I think he had said to me at one point, I show up and I'm wrestling these gigantic, you know, Bastion
Kevin
Booger.
Sullivan and Jacqueline. You heard the story he told here.
Oh, I had already heard it before.
Crap on.
Yeah, and Scott wasn't sure if he wanted to do it and all that. Yeah. But yeah, no, I was very fortunate that he was my first match there, and he was the best. He was very good.
Because Tony Roy was also on here, and he said he'd go to the board, and if he's, you know, he'd be like, I got to
Well, you
do
look
this
down,
guy.
because I wrestled Ludwig Borga on a later TV
I
taping.
think he mentioned his name. He didn't like wrestling Ludwig too much.
Well, quick story on Ludwig. So you get to the building, and I went on a lot of trips. You don't even work.
Yeah.
You know, because they overbooked the guys.
Right.
So you'd go, and you'd be on the road for 3 days, and you get paid, and you just kind of hang out, right? So on the day before, because it used to be Raws on Monday, and then Superstars or Challenge were Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
So on Tuesday, Borga wrestled some guy who wasn't very good.
Right.
And you could see him getting aggravated on the monitor. And he clotheslined the guy right in the face and knocked him out cold. I show up on Wednesday, look at the board, Borga King. I'm like, God damn it. This guy's going to knock me out now. So I went out there. I sold like Superman. I'm telling you right now.
Right.
He had like a boxing gimmick. He body blowed me. I jumped 8 feet in the air like it was a Rocky movie. And he was light as a fly with me.
Was he really?
But yeah. You don't back then. You didn't want the Borgas. You wanted the Owens.
Yep.
Or, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Actually, both those guys have passed away. Owen and Ludwig Borga.
Oh, I didn't know Borga had passed away.
Yeah. Well, a few years ago.
Yeah,
too.
I didn't know that.
Yep. All right, let's get in the name game.
Oh, good.
'Cause you were so excited
I was
when
excited.
he came in.
All right.
So I think this guy might be in jail. Josh Shea.
We can both chime in on this one.
All right, good.
So Josh Shea was involved with the EWA before Steve and I bought it.
Yeah.
Then he bought it with us. Okay. So he was one of the three.
Yeah.
Now, Steve and I had never liked him. Let's be honest. We didn't really like him. And he wasn't a wrestling talent.
Okay.
He was just, how would you describe
It's a
him?
fucking weirdo.
Well,
Five.
he is 5 to 0.
Yeah.
I'm clean
And one.
still. So
No, but he managed. I mean,
he was a manager.
only
and
because he was a part owner, sort of thing. He was a
put himself
manager.
on commentary and
It was stupid fucking Master Chef gimmick. What did he?
the Iron
remember what
Chef.
yes.
Where he would carry
That's what I
peppers
meant,
around like
Iron
the old
Chef.
cooking show. So at one point, we found out he
was
was
stupid as
stealing money from us.
Wow.
And that was the best. Larry Huntley, speaking of, was Josh Shea's best friend.
Right.
So we found out, and I kind of had especially with Josh, Josh was afraid of me. I don't really know why. It's not like I'm Rick Fuller looking, but So we put him in the office. We got Josh to go in the office with Steve, I, and Larry Huntley. Larry Huntley was kind of a witness.
Yeah.
And we said, Josh, because he was paying our event insurance.
Okay.
And then he stopped paying it for months and kept the money. Wow. So we called him on it in the office, and he started to cry. And when he said it, I walked up on him.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, he looked like an abused child. He cowered and started to cry and said, I'm a heel in real life. He actually said that. And so we literally kicked him out.
Yeah.
He had no more ownership. We
Right.
drew up papers with a lawyer.
Yep.
He was out from ownership. That's when Brian Mailhawk came on.
Okay.
As
Brian
kind of a
Black.
silent, what's that?
Brian Black.
Brian Black,
yeah,
sorry.
in case you that's all right.
Yeah, as a silent owner because he was still learning with
Right,
these guys.
right.
Yeah.
So he was a young wrestler, and Brian did a lot of the promotional legwork that I did none of because I didn't live anywhere near
You're in Mass.
Portland. Right. But yeah, so yeah, not a fan of him at all.
Okay. Let's.
And then
Yeah,
he
okay,
went to
great.
jail
Yeah,
for being a pedophile.
Yeah, he went to jail for pedophilia.
So, you know, there's
Well, I'll
that.
tell you what.
So now-
between the crying and the pedophilia, he's not doing good in jail. I can pretty much.
I
guarantee
sure
that.
hope he's doing very poorly in
I'm
jail.
pretty sure he probably
Or very
is.
well, depending on
For,
his opinion, right?
All right. Speaking of that,
sorry.
Savannah Souza.
Oh, you're really trying to hit me up here. Savannah Souza, oh my God, that's a big one. You know, people think I like want to trash Souza. I kind of have this rep of like, I don't.
Okay.
I was in the wrestling school for about a year and a half, 2 years. Like I said, we were kind of training ourselves.
right.
Souza came in, was exceptionally organized. Okay, trained us the basics extremely well.
Right.
I think Savannah Souza was a very good, like, basic wrestling
Yep.
trainer. Okay. What ended up happening is, to be blunt, he came on to me, and I shunned him,
Yeah.
and then he buried me, and had Rick Fuller almost kill me. Actually, we did a spot, and that Nick Steele, who I love, I'm
Yeah.
very close with Nick. Well, not as close anymore, but when we were younger,
Right.
he was backstage. Souza called the spot where he wanted me to put somebody in a Boston Crab.
Okay.
And he was going to send Fuller to the ring with his axe handle. Now, if you've ever seen Rick Fuller, and
Oh,
if you've
yeah, I
ever
have, yeah.
held an axe handle,
Yeah.
it's a very heavy thing.
Yes. And
Rick-
Rick's what, 6'8"?
Rick is the biggest, strongest guy I've ever been in the ring with.
Yes. Yes.
Rick Fuller hit me in the back as hard as he could with an axe handle on Souza's orders that Nick had actually witnessed and other
Right.
people. So what ended up happening is I turned him away,
Yeah.
and then he did that, and then I left the promotion. And a few years later, to Souza's credit,
Yep.
he had this guy Ricky Pacheco, his cousin Seth McCoy at the time. He was running a hotel, had me meet in the lobby of the hotel with Souza. So Souza essentially apologized without apologizing
Okay.
because he was coming back to book Top Rope,
Okay.
and I was there.
Yeah.
And he told me he really respected me as a talent. Nothing was going to happen like that. And he would like if he could book me
Yeah.
and I wouldn't leave.
Right.
And then from that point on, I got along great with Souza. I didn't have any problems with Souza. I had toured in Canada for Rick Martel, where the road trip, it was me, Savannah Souza, Steve Bradley, and Tony Atlas. So we drove up, and I roomed with Tony Atlas on
Right.
the trip. So it was fine after that, but what ended up happening is a group of wrestlers at that time, when Savannah Souza came in, he made them think he was going to take them to Vince.
Right.
Because he did jobs for
Yes.
WWF.
Yes. I remember when he did that.
So they kind of shunned me.
Right.
Like I was trying to ruin their golden ticket.
Yeah.
So that's really the biggest problem that I had with it is I lost friendships.
Right.
Maverick and I didn't talk for a while. We've
Right.
since
Yep.
and a bunch of other guys as well. But that's all that was.
Okay. How about let's go to chaotic guys for a minute. Mill City Hooligans.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know you have worked with those guys.
Yeah, yeah. Chase is one of my best friends in wrestling,
Yep.
and has been for a while. The Logans too. Yeah, I mean, I love those guys. We I think first met in 2003. I think it would be. I had been wrestling a little bit at that point in time, a few years, and they were just starting at Chaotic at the CTC, what's now the
Right.
New England Pro
Yep.
Wrestling Academy with Fury. But yeah, I mean, I love those guys back then. They were just, you know, I don't know, the right sort of attitude with it, like having fun, you know,
Right.
enjoying what they're doing, but still serious about it and being good and being at the top level. And then, like I said, I took years off, and when I came back, Chase was one of the first people I got in touch with, and just started talking to again. And yeah, it's definitely my
Nice.
closest friends in wrestling.
All right, we have to bring him up, saying that he got us some donuts.
Oh yeah, speaking of which, give me a
Doc.
fucking donut.
Doc Harrison.
You want a donut on air? You gotta
Yeah.
eat it while you're.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
wait to devour it
Put it
after.
right there, and then we'll put it back. He wants to get a clip after.
Oh,
Just don't. Yeah, leave me that chocolate one.
okay.
That's I'm calling the
I'm
chocolate
taking a
one.
massive-
All right, how about
That thing's huge. Look.
Thanks, Doc. How about we'll go to another
on
name real
camera.
quick? How about Jeff Costa?
Yo, Jeff Costa.
Wait, I thought we were gonna talk about Heresy.
Oh,
first.
yeah.
All right, let's talk
Let's
about
talk about
Doc.
Harrison.
So we dropped his name.
Yeah.
Well,
Didn't
I
talk
love
about it.
Heresy.
Yes.
I love Jeremy. He's a great guy.
Oh my god. Never mind.
He's gonna
Forget
eat the
Heresy.
donut.
I want to just talk about my donut.
Jeremy was very good. You know, like I said, I had breakfast with him this morning. He was great as a heel.
Yeah.
Him and Don Juan DeSanto together, that Mind Didn't Matter
Yeah.
tag team.
I remember them.
They had great chemistry, and Don Juan DeSanto moved incredibly well for a
Yeah.
350-pound guy. So Jeremy, he was one of our top heels. We pushed him in EWA, and
Nice.
yeah, I love him.
How about Mighty Mini? Just throw it.
Minnie.
I love Minnie. I love.
Yeah.
I,
There's
he's
nothing
one of
bad.
my favorites, man.
You
Back-
can't say anything bad about Minnie. He's just a good kid.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, he's Minnie.
Yeah.
It
So
fits
he-
his
Yeah.
gimmick.
Him and Andre were a
Him
good
and-
tag team.
He was great with Andre, and it was great with Brian Black too. When he was
Yes.
literally
Yeah.
like his mini.
I remember.
yeah, he was his Minnie.
I love Minnie. He and I worked together a good chunk. I always loved working with him. He had a great mind.
Yeah.
He was another like CTC guy, and yeah, he was always fun. Always great in the ring.
That's awesome.
I like
Guys, I told you it goes by way too fast.
Oh, it does. It really
I'd love
does.
to have you guys back again
Oh,
if
this
we
was
can
fun.
set this up. You know, we'll just do nothing but play the name game.
Oh,
Next time.
I do
will-
feel like we just got started. Like
Exactly.
now we established who we are. Now,
Exactly.
now
Yeah.
let's start
I'll
talking.
come back. You want to come back?
I'm
Scott,
game.
thanks for coming on.
Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Adam.
The best part is you got
We're out.
near the end of the show. You got donut all over your
Yeah,
face.
he's loving it.
That's awesome.
Guys, we're out. Peace.